City Talks with Reuben Abati.
With Reuben Abati on your number one lifestyle station, City 1051 FM. On this show, we talk about stories of political and human interests that affect us as Nigerians and as members of a global human community. Today, we'll be discussing the hashtag Endsars Memorial, 1 year after the Endsars protests across the country, and what happened then and what happened during the anniversary, and whether indeed as Nigerians we've learned any lessons and all of that. And to guide us through this, we have a special guest with us. It's with great pleasure that we have here today Dele Farotimi, a lawyer and a human rights activist. Dele Farotimi is a lawyer, a seasoned political activist, a member of Citizens Rally Against Oppression, and an author. He studied law at the Lagos State University, where he was president of the Student Union between 1994 and 1995. Dele Farotimi was called to the Nigerian bar in 1999, and he has since practiced litigation and transactional law. He started his career as a lawyer, as a litigation counsel in the law firms of Additional Ogunlanu & Co., Basa and Partners, and others. He joined K.O. Tinubu & Co., where he worked under notable legal luminaries such as the late K.O. Tinubu, Babatunde Raji Fashola SAN, and Rashid Olua. After that, he moved on and established Dele Farotimi & Co. in 2002, now known as DF Legal. Farotimi acts as a legal advisor to some of the biggest players in the real estate sector, including mortgage institutions and developers in Lagos. If you want to be part of this conversation, you can call us on 0700 1051 1051. And you can also leave comments on WhatsApp 090 99164403, and on social media accounts at City1051 on Zoom and Facebook. Dele Farotimi, thank you very much for joining us. Good afternoon. Hello.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Yes, thank you very much for joining.
Thank you very much for having me. Good afternoon.
Yes. Well, October 20, a few days ago, was the first anniversary of the Endsars protests in Nigeria, and we saw Nigerians at the Lekki toll gate in Abuja, and also in Lekki toll gate in Lagos, in Abuja, in Ibadan, in other parts of the country, commemorating the first anniversary of that critical moment in Nigeria. Well, 1 year after, do you think that as a people and as a country, we learned any lessons from that hashtag Endsars protest?
Well, I will say that, and when I say people, I'm talking about the conscious layer of Nigerian society. We ought to have learned several lessons, and I believe we actually did learn those lessons. When you speak in relation to the Nigerian state and the rulers of Nigeria, though, it is either that we would have to conclude that they either learned nothing at all, or they are very deliberate in responding to what they did learn by merely reinforcing the extent of their readiness to cow the citizenry. And I use the word citizenry very, very carefully because we are actually not citizens. So insofar as it relates to learning lessons, the enthusiasm of the Nigerian youth that fueled the Endsars movement has not been dampened, but they have learned that they are not protesting to a benign moral force to whom appeals would elicit anything other than bullets. So insofar as it relates to the erasure of illusions, the evaporation of delusions that would have us assume that we are actually citizens, I think the events that terminated the protests have sufficiently advertised the nature of the country in which we live. And I also believe that the state has done a fantastic job of reinforcing just exactly how little it has either learned or how little it is prepared to change. Because the same brutality that led to the end of the protest was on open display. We saw Akim Odumosu and we saw the CSPs, Egbeyemi. We saw them providing more arms at the toll gate as though it were to be a theater of war than I imagine was available on the rail track that was being blown in Kaduna. So the real terrorists in the consciousness of the Nigerian state would appear to be those who are demanding to be treated as citizens, whilst the real terrorists, the ones other people in the world who call terrorists, are merely vandals. So you treat vandals with kid gloves, but you treat those who think they are citizens with the kind of force that we saw at the toll gate. So that a lot has been learned, if the truth be told.
Well, if you say a lot has been learned, what do you think of the narrative by the Nigerian government, speaking through Minister of Information Lai Mohammed, who on that same occasion said that it is not true that, about 12 protesters were killed in Lagos, and he's claimed that the whole Lekki massacre that was reported last year was nothing but a scam. Do you agree?
In the first place, Mr. Lai Mohammed is not the Minister of Information. He is the Minister. No, right? What the state might elect to offer him that title, just as it has elected to lie to Nigerians that they are citizens. But I am working for the Ministry of Clarity. So I have a duty to be very clear as to the exact nature of anything and not merely accept the tag that it wears. Mr. Lai Mohammed does not inform, he misinforms. He is the Minister of Propaganda. My name is Dele Farutimi. He can care to sue me if that hurts him. But the reality is that he does not inform. He is incapable of telling the truth. He wouldn't even know what it is if he was slapped with it. In the first place, there was a live Instagram feed. Nobody has argued about that. In the second place, before the panel in Lekki, the Nigerian army was busy approbating and reprobating, but eventually a fact was established in that place. Bullets were fired. Fact established forensically. 2, there were hospitals who have brought their testimony before the panel, establishing clearly that they received gunshot injuries victims from the toll gate, established beyond reasonable doubt. I was there in 1993 when Abacha was taking over. People were being killed on Ikorodu Road and their bodies were being piled on army flatbed trucks. Nobody told me that. I witnessed it. I spoke to witnesses of October 20 at the Lekki toll gate, and I listened to the testimony of DJ Switch, who I believe over and above a lying Mohammed. So when Mr. Lai Mohammed comes out to say what he has said, I need us to understand one thing. He is saying exactly what he needs to say for the preservation of the evil empire that he represents. That is one. But it is not for me to buy into the delusions of Mr. Mohammed. I can trust the evidence of my own eyes. What would make an ordinarily intelligent human being like Raji Fashola go to the toll gate to be discovering camcorder that is not lost if it was not in furtherance of a fraud, which was to cover up what they did in that place? What else explains that level of Ahitophelian stupidity? What else? Where is that camcorder today? enough lies have been told about what happened that day to stitch together a very clear picture of the truth. So if some people elect, perhaps on the ground of some farcical national security, to subsume the truth beneath the lies that are being told, they must be told very clearly that some of us are not as stupid as they themselves are if they believe we will believe the stupid lies that they are telling. They murdered innocent people at that toll gate that day. And they should stop lying. If they want the nation to heal, we don't even have a nation. If they want the country to even begin any movement towards reconciliation of any sort, there must be accountability. They should stop all these lies and stop insulting our intelligence. But the more, in fact, the people with whom I have the most quarrel are the average Nigerians who are helping them to cover the lies, whether those be people in the media or stupid talking heads that they bring around to come and be gaslighting everybody. They should remember there shall be an account one day, if not in this world, in yet another. How do you go about the business of erasing and airbrushing the memories of victims to the point where it becomes institutional, and then the entire system is being worked to cover a lie? The whole world knows exactly what happened that day. They are just looking at us and helping us to cover the stupid lies we are telling ourselves simply because it's not their business, since we don't think it's our own business to care as well. Let them stop that lie. Lai Mohammed can tell as much lies as he cares to tell. He's an habitual liar. I beg.
Well, I mean, if I may play the devil's advocate and try to provide some kind of balance. Last year, there was something called 5 for 5 demand from the protesters, and they had specific things they were asking for. First, they wanted, the police unit called the Special Anti-Robbery Squad to be scrapped. Government has done that. Government replaced it with what they call Special Weapons Tactical Team. Subsequently, the National Economic Council decided to set up or ask states to set up judicial panels of inquiry across the country. 28 states and the Federal Capital Territory did so. And in many of those states, proceedings have been concluded. In Lagos, for example, Lagos state government took over 207 petitions and has paid out over 400 million in terms of compensation to persons that were affected. The protesters last year wanted psychiatric evaluation for anybody joining the police and even for the policemen who are serving. In Minister Lai Mohammed's address, he pointed out that yes, government has taken that on board, that there will be psychiatric evaluation, drug tests on a periodic basis, both for serving policemen and for new recruits. He also assured Nigerians that compensation will be paid to all the persons who may have been affected. The only thing is that, look, it dismissed killings as phantom, claims. But, will you say that what government has done has gone far enough, or there's a lot more to be done, both in terms of addressing the issues of justice and also reform of the police?
What I would do is that I'll first of all address this 5 for 5, and then I'll deal with purpose, design purpose. Because everything that if you are building a house, your design intentions would affect the kind of house that you would build. So one, let's understand that I wasn't part of the organization I wasn't involved in any way. So I was not in a position to have advised the people who drafted this 5 for 5 thing. And I was never likely to be part of those who would draft something like this, because when you draft something like this, there is a presumption behind it. The presumption is that you are talking to a party who is capable of hearing you, or whose intentions are altruistic enough to be accommodating of your own ideas as to how to improve the system against which you are kicking. So when they were busy drafting this altruistic thing, and I know I believe Shegun Awosanya Sega must have been involved in this, because he's a very meticulous man. And yeah, he would have drafted something like this in the belief that the system would engage with him and take the good ideas that he has brought forward, because the system is desirous of building the kind of Nigeria that he imagines is possible to build with this system. So when they drafted this and gave it to the government, and government, according to Laim Mohammed, is busy crowing about how they have met 4 out of 5 of these. Let's do this. If you have scrapped SARS, it pains me that my dear sister Rinu is not part of this panel. Rinu did a beautiful job of reporter in relation to this response by Lai Mohammed on a panel I was on, and she pointed out how, and I align myself with that completely, they had been scrapping SARS several times before it was finally allegedly scrapped. And whatever has replaced it is no different from what it was, because it is merely one of the fruits on the tree of Nigerian impunity. Nothing changed. There was a change of name. So let's be clear about that. The Nigerian police has not changed. It is still busy victimizing young people, and all Nigerians generally are still victims of the Nigerian police. They can call it any name they care to call it. They can move it away from SWAT and call it TAT or call it ATAT or TUTUTA. It doesn't matter. It's the Nigerian police. It is the people of Nigeria who have entered Nigerian police uniform and concluded that they are the lords and masters of all they see on behalf of the ones that they truly serve, our rulers. The second thing is that when you're talking about panels. Yes, panels have been set up. I can speak to the one in Lagos before, because my own organization, Ramimba, was actively involved, and we had victims that we were representing. Baba Ogunlano was the one at the panel. I rarely ever went before it. But what I can say is this. The panels were never designed to find the truth, because the truth was never lost. They were purposefully designed to obfuscate and to buy time. It was just meant to buy time. At the beginning of the panel, we were not even going to attend. We were going to boycott it, because we knew from the beginning that the intention was always to buy time. It's not the first panel of its type in Nigeria. There have been several panels of similar types, and it had never brought anything but bought time for the system. We knew. But we also knew that if we abandoned the panel to them, they will be able to write the story and shape the narrative the way they care, because they are very adept at lying, particularly the Lagos branch of the Nigerian ruining class. We knew that if we left them to shape the narrative at the panel, they will obfuscate everything and destroy the truth almost irreparably. The truth dies in darkness, and they would have created sufficient darkness. So we went there. We went there to hold them to account and to make sure that they would have to tell so many lies in the public square that they will begin to look ridiculous. And that was exactly what ended up happening. We don't know how the panel might elect to rule, what it might elect to say. We don't even know exactly what the government might care to do with the report, but we're never holding our breath. So in 28 states, it is only in Lagos that I can say the panel sat properly. In other states, yes, people tried their best, but away from the glares of the camera, the agenda of the state when it set up the panel was largely successful, except in Lagos. Now, when you talk about psych evaluation, I'll say what Renu said. Renu's recommendation is that it's actually our rulers who need to have psychological evaluations, not their police, because the police take its cue from its political lords and masters. If their lords and masters were not drawing them into crimes, they would not have the capacity to use the same powers of impunity that our rulers use routinely to deal with the citizens. The fourth one is about compensation. Exactly how much can compensate for the lives that have been ruined, for the psychological damage to young. I spoke with victims, people who are there who are not damaged, who nothing happened to, but were merely witnesses. One was on a panel on the day. He spoke as a witness. He was in a webinar. Lucid young man. You could see the psychological trauma. And yet, he's dealing with the fact that the state is still denying what it did. What compensation is going to compensate for the fact that nothing has changed? You are still killing these young people, and you are still treating everybody with the same impunity, just as Akim Odumosu was busy putting people in Black Maria on the day when they were supposed to be showing that something has changed beyond where they were a year ago. There is a reinforcement of the same levels of impunity, and they are talking about compensation. Shame on them for their compensation. Killings, they will keep denying, but one day the truth will find them out. May it be for each and every one of those denying what they have done in that place exactly as it was to the victim. With their generations, may it be so for them, unless people have lied against them. So in relation to this killing, Nigeria must deny the killings. But if we saw enough, and they have lied enough, and Obafunwa, the chief pathologist in Lagos State, is not a fool. Where did all those corpses come? Where did they come from? What about, please, let them keep lying to themselves. They don't convince anyone again. So it's about design intention. The Nigerian police was not designed to uphold laws. It is designed to maintain a system of impunity. So if your intention is to uphold impunity, how do you then hold the policeman account? He has no laws to enforce. He has only impunity to administer. So how can it be anything but lawless? The Nigerian police is the most lawless element of Nigeria because it is meant to be a creation of laws, enforcing laws, but it has never obeyed the law or recognized its validity. So they can keep denying its design intention.
I guess that, you've mentioned Akim Odumosu, the Commissioner of Police in Lagos, twice. And yes, the police are right at the center of it. But to be fair to Akim Odumosu, he was at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos in particular on October 20, and he said, well, he had an agreement with the protesters that they would stay there till 10 a.m. and that after 10 a.m. the protest would end. But anybody that was there beyond 10 a.m., will be classified as a miscreant, as a troublemaker. But he showed up there. All the persons that were arrested, he asked that they should be released, and he even apologized to some of the journalists who were embarrassed. So that's a word there for Akim Odumosu. But generally, the police,
No. I'm sorry, Dr. Abati.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dr. Abati. I cannot let you make those excuses for impunity. Who is Akim Odumosu to determine when a person might protest in a democracy and when they might not protest peacefully in a democracy? Who is he? Where does it derive such a power? Please, don't let us normalize these insanities. Don't normalize it, Dr. Abati. It is not right. He has no such rights. It shows you the level of disrespect and contempt with which this man treats Nigerians. I reported a case of not even attempted assassination, an assassination plot against me. This is personal. I reported it in that man's office. I went back, I adopted my petition. He never once took a single step to do anything about it. But the entire Lagos State Police Force can show up at the toll gate, and the man dares to open his mouth to be saying that when people come at a certain hour, he will treat them as genuine. Who is he to tell that? Based on what power? We are either a constitutional democracy or we are not. Please, don't let's excuse this insanity. He has no such right. And for him to be saying so, if he were in a society ruled by law, he should be in prison. I'm sorry, but he has no such rights.
Okay, I'm just trying to provide the other side of the narrative.
No.
Okay,
no,
policemen,
like
for example.
Side.
Okay, they, most activists, most people in civil society, yes, the whole of this is about police brutality. But the police and their families are also saying that they are also victims. And I guess to some extent, the 5-for-5 demand addresses that when there was one of those demands addressing the welfare of policemen, stating that their salaries should be increased. And I think the federal government has done something in that direction. But some people say, look, on October 20, during the #Endsars memorial, nobody remembered those policemen who were killed and, whose police stations were burnt down. And that, look, everyone is a victim in this regard. Do you share that view?
Every Nigerian is a victim of Nigeria. Every Nigerian. You, me, every one of us, including the idiots who think they are living large ruling us, they are also victims. Each and every one of us have become victimized by the insanity that we have normalized, embraced. The abominable insanities with which we live, that we've just normalized, excused. We are all victims. Nobody can discount the humanity of the policeman. I have friends. There is a friend of mine from university who is a serving commissioner, no, assistant commissioner now. There are two of them. I have friends. The policeman is not just some guy wearing black. No, I have friends. I have family members who are policemen. I know the deplorable condition in which they live. But I am explaining to you that when you demand that the humanity of a man be recognized and the man denies the humanity of the person from whom he's demanding recognition, it doesn't work like that. We all have to get to the point where it's not about people not remembering that policemen died, but we should ask ourselves, in what circumstances were the policemen killed by peaceful protesters for whom the likes of me will speak? It is blackmail to be speaking about dead policeman when the dead policeman might have been killed by the same criminal element that the police mollycoddles routinely, the kind of miscreants that they brought to protest ground to come and attack peaceful protesters in full glare of policemen, in full glare. It might very well be one of their own comrades, because that is what those becomes, that has killed policemen, because I didn't see a single peaceful protester carrying gun or carrying knives or carrying cordials. Nothing of the sort was reported at any of the protest grounds. If anything, those protest grounds were busy demanding that the Nigerian police be paid better, be treated better. They took food to policemen on duty during the protest. They took food to the nearest police stations. They took drinks. They treated the policemen the way they wanted themselves to be treated. So when they talk about the policemen that were killed, were the policemen killed? Were they killed by those at the protest grounds where they went to kill? Those are the questions we need to be asking, not these false equivalencies that the Nigerian police, the Nigerian state, and their talking heads would like to push at us. Is it those kids who are at the protest grounds? Were those the people who went to kill the police? Were those the ones who went to loot? People should be careful when they make these their false equivalencies. But I guess because they always gaslight, not every Nigerian would have the opportunity that you have afforded me by offering me a platform from where to make these reporters, because that's what they've become. How many mechanics whose brother was killed at Lekki Toll Gate? I know a few families who lost people, at least I met people who lost limbs. None of them can come here to respond to these idiotic equivalencies that they seek to make. But I am privileged and blessed to be able to speak for those who are silent. And I have a duty to point it out. How many of the people at the protest shot anyone? All they had were flags and the national anthem. And the idiots who killed them dared to talk about the policemen who died. Was it not their own compatriots, the Oshas of this world, carrying machetes under police escort, riding in buses? Is it not the same ones riding Prado in Abuja, being ferried around in Prados in Abuja, taken from one point to the other to be causing mayhem? Are those not the ones that will end up killing them? Let them tell those sub stories, but tell themselves the truth. We recognize their humanity. Part of the reasons why these children were on the street was because they wanted better conditions for the Nigerian police. How about the Nigerian police wanting better conditions for itself and for Nigerians as well? And stop shooting people and stop mouthing off arrogantly and treating people with contempt.
Were you surprised that the hashtag Endsars memorial on October 20 was more or less significantly a southern affair rather than a national affair? apart from the protests in Abuja. I doubt if there was any other protest in the northern parts of the country. In fact, some states in the northern part of the country even refused to set up judicial panels of inquiry. They said they don't seem to have a problem with the police, that the problem they have is one of security. Why do you think that there's that stark division in terms of responses?
Let me. I think it was your show earlier in the week. I was watching your show, and the House of Reps member from Sokoto, the part where the market is located,
from Goronyo,
yes,
Gada, federal constituency.
Yes, the gentleman was on your show. And I listened to him narrate how they are moving almost all the policemen in his area. Even before the massacre, they were already planning on moving some of them to Anambra. And inside of me, I thought to myself, Nigeria is killing Nigeria without realizing that it is killing Nigeria. When you do not treat a problem from the root, but you constantly seek to divide in order to obscure and to take attention away from what is happening. What then happens is that invariably all the time, yes, you end up with your divisions, but those divisions will only ensure your demise. Nigerians across board have common pains. The same problem of insecurity that assails the man in Iseyin is the same problem of insecurity that assails the man in Kankara. In fact, the man in Kankara is suffering from worse. The same problem of insecurity that assails the man in Otukpo is the one that is chasing the man in Abia. But our rulers decide, they prefer to draw attention or bring attention to the divisions amongst the people. The man in Makurdi, if we agree that Benue is part of Nigeria and is still, they will classify it as part of the northern state. So is the Benue man enjoying security and is having peace with the Nigerian police? No, but he's too preoccupied with other things than the self-indulgent elitist protests that we are having down here in Lagos and in other parts of Nigeria where we still have relative calm and peace. For us, we can shut down. I was speaking with a gentleman from Bauchi, a young gentleman, and he was telling me why they did not protest during the Endsars thing. He said Buhari sent one of his ministers to come and thank the youth of Buhari and of Bauchi for not joining the Endsars protest. So this young man stood up to talk and he told the minister, the honorable minister, it is not because we don't want to protest, but if we don't go out for 2 days running, we will starve to death. That's one. The second thing is that our people don't understand the issue. So when you don't understand the issue, how do you begin to protest? When people want to point out the fact that they are hiring people on the street during the Endsars memorial in the north, they should remember that the people who should be protesting are the ones that they are calling bandits. They are the ones that are dodging bandits. They are the ones being carried by bandits. They are the ones who are in IDP camps. They are the ones who are already running helter-skelter. When a man is busy running helter-skelter, is he going to be on the street protesting? We still have the luxury of space and the capacity to understand the issue. That is why we are protesting. And here where we are protesting, how many people are protesting? You wouldn't find me out there protesting, and I know there are several other people like me. Why am I not protesting? Because I know you don't protest to a deaf entity. The Nigerian state is not the kind of place where you protest. Nigeria is where you decide where you want to go, carry what you want to do to the people, mobilize the people behind the plan you have, and then decide what you want. You don't go protesting to somebody whose interest does not include doing what you want him to do with your protest. You want Nigeria to end SARS. If they end SARS, who is going to help them chase you around during elections? If they end SARS, how can they ask that man to cover up for their own crimes? They can't end SARS. So I will not join a protest to end SARS, but I will happily join a protest that ends this entire system and bets a new order. I'll happily take that message onto the street. Whether that be with sit at home or whatever, I'm happy to do that. But joint protest in Nigeria with the like of Akim Odumosu, Egbeyemi, and the rest of them, the one the police cannot do on their own, they will have the political elite will have their criminal element to go and do it under police protection. So those are, I'm not going, you know how many times people try to protest at Lekki Toll Gate and Lagos State and its elements brought thugs to that place to come and disperse them with a full glare of cameras? I don't do protests. Protests are for reactionaries. I'm not about protest. If and when the time comes that there is a clear plan to lay before the Nigerian people, we shall lay it before them and we will confront this system. It's not violent, but I don't do protest. Protest is a waste of time. You don't, how do you go about the business of protesting to a deaf man? You are shouting at the deaf. You can shout all you care, the deaf can't hear you. The Nigerian state is completely deaf to any pleas for change. It does not believe it in its interest to change. It is you who believes that it needs to change that has to take your program for change to the Nigerian people directly, connect them to the struggle. That struggle might be electoral or it might be revolutionary. But anything that changes Nigeria and takes it away from its current trajectory is already a revolution. But protesting in Nigeria, quote me, is a waste of time. You don't protest to the deaf.
Well, some listeners will say, you know, your intervention, you may not go onto the streets to carry placards, but your public intervention is also more or less a form of protest because, you know, protest can take many dimensions.
I work for the Ministry of Clarity.
Anyway, I see that people are already joining the conversation. If you want to be part of this conversation, you can call us on 0700 1051 1051 or on WhatsApp 090 9916 4403 and also on social media accounts at City1051 on Zoom and Facebook. But I see a question here on the laptop. This is from Professor Kemi Rutimi. He says, considering how angry the conduct of the ruling elite has made Dele, has he ever considered emigrating from Nigeria, walking away from it all? Professor Rutimi, why are you still here? Why have you not, what is that expression? Japa?
I live in paradise. I live in paradise. Nigeria is paradise. It is the evil rulers of Nigeria that are ruining Nigeria. If you care to take a drive to Ibadan and you went into IITA and you spent just a day in IITA and then you have to come back out of IITA to Idiosi and then you have to come through the nightmare of Ojo, you realize very quickly that the insanity that we live with is by deliberate design. IITA could have been any part of Houston. It could have been any part of America. They took our jungle and they turned it into paradise, a green paradise. But we took the same paradise and we have turned it into hell. But unfortunately for me, it has pleased my maker to make it impossible for me to live at peace anywhere else in the world. If I went outside Nigeria for longer than 3 weeks, I'll be having withdrawal symptoms and behaving like a madman. I am used to being a madman. In Nigeria, I'm normal. Outside Nigeria, I'm insane. So I love it here. I can't go anywhere and I will never leave. Never.
Okay, I have another intervention here. This is from Kike Lomo Atondawo. She says the government should increase police salary and they should be adequately compensated for protecting lives and property of the citizens. The problem is that police pay grade has not been upgraded. And she says, okay, my question to Dele Farotime is this. Okay, Dele, as a lawyer and a human rights activist that you are in the country, how should we be evolving from the Endsars protests? What should we be doing from the angle of leadership and okay, I missed that. So what should we be doing, and how do we evolve away from the Endsars protests?
Number one, when you talk about the police pay grade, all those kind of discussions, they're actually nothing more than an exercise in curing ringworm whilst ignoring leprosy. You can give the police any amount you care to give the police, as long as it has to operate with its operating mandate in this environment, it will remain exactly what it is, because that's what it is designed to be. Let's not waste time on that. You have to do a root and branch review of the entire country, not just the police. The second thing relates to what is being, the one clear gain of Endsars, in my own opinion, is that it has helped to clarify the nature of the struggle that is before those who seek change in Nigeria. The kind of change that they are demanding is not compatible with the kind of change that the Nigerian state is happy to offer. And whilst it's not compatible with that, the Nigerian state is prepared to kill in order to preserve itself. So this has become clearer to those who used to imagine that protest can do it. Well, they are now talking in terms of, go and mobilize yourselves, go and vote. Not that I have any faith in the electoral system, but I believe that just knowing the nature of the battle, which is what Endsars has done, that the clarity it has brought to the critical space, that must never be discounted. It is the most important piece of revelation to the Nigerian left and anyone who wants change in Nigeria. Endsars cleared it. If it had happened during the military, we would have found some excuse for why it happened. But that it has happened in what pretends to be a democracy, and that it is happening a year after in what pretends to be a democracy, is sufficient to tell us exactly what it is. That is the clarity that Endsars has brought, and that clarity is priceless. What we now do with what we know is another ball game entirely. I'm not a politician. As Uncle Reuben has rightly pointed out, maybe all I am destined to do is to make noise the way I make noise. But if all that does is to also further clarify things for everyone, all the better. But let's be clear, Endsars unmasked Nigeria is clearer to everybody what we are dealing with, and I'm sure we would have adequate response. We will speak to Nigeria in the language which I understand very soon.
Well, I guess you are doing more than just making noise. Akin Ogunlade here says that, you speak truth to power. And speaking truth to power is a lot. That must be commended. Looks like we have some callers on the line. We have a caller here. Hello.
Good afternoon, Mr. Charles.
Yes, good afternoon. No, my name is Reuben Abati, and our guest is Dele Farochimi.
Yes, sir. And my brother, I thank you very well, because really you are fighting for the masses, and Almighty God will guide you and re-guide you. And no weapon fashioned.
He's not hearing him.
I said no weapon fashioned against that man that fighting for the masses shall be prospered in Jesus. My name is Papa from Badagry.
Thank you very much. That's a call from Badagry. And here I have a more extended comment from Akin Ogunlade. He says, we have transactional rulers instead of transformational leaders. They are bereft of ideas. They only preoccupy themselves with next elections instead of next generation. Nigeria is gradually becoming a totalitarian state. Well, I guess Akin Ogunlade, they are, agreeing with you. Do we have another caller on the line? Hello? Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Kenneth. I'm calling from Ikeja.
Okay.
I'm Kenneth, calling from Ikeja.
Yes,
okay.
Kenneth.
I just want to say something. But it's easy to always condemn and criticize and abuse people on radio and all of that. But to provide solution is always very difficult for us. If you are criticizing, you should be able to provide a solution to problems, not just abusing. This is radio, for God's sake. You do not have just a single thing that the country is doing for its people. I'm a common person. At least I do not like the situation of the country, but not everything is bad. When we say government, who is the government? We are the government because I'm on the street every day. I see the way the Nigerian people behave. Are they ready to be led? No. I listened to a program this morning when talking about employment. They are saying that the reason why we have unemployment is because a lot of people are not employable, which is true. So they are trying to organize programs for people to come in and learn. But a lot of us do not want to even do that. But we like crisis, especially these people who come on radio to criticize people because they get cash for it. They get grants for other things. If there are no crises for them to condemn, they will not get grants. And that is why they come out there to say all this sort of rhetoric to discourage Nigerians from doing the right thing. We should be encouraging young people to take this country into their hands, not to divide them or to separate them from the government, from the Nigeria entity. If we don't get involved, we will not go anywhere. If we alienate ourselves from governance, because we have the power, but we seem to be weak by the people who come on air to say all sorts of things to just demoralize us. We want to take the bull by the horn and take it to the authority and reclaim the country for ourselves. But we don't want to get involved. We don't want to get involved because we already know what will happen and all of that. How many are they compared to other people? We have the power. If we continue to talk this way, Nigerians will always be demoralized. They will not be ready to take the bull by the horns to do something. You know, all these people coming on radio to rant and make noise. It's because they are not benefiting from the society, from the purse of the government. That is the truth. Where were they in the past years? You know, they don't want to do this. They don't want to do this. Give different excuses and all of that. Let us stand with one voice as Nigerians and face the problem that we have and deal with the problems squarely. Not say I don't want to protest. I can't protest. I can't do this. Blah blah. What do you want to do? To come on radio and rant and tell lies to the people? Okay,
Kenneth from Ekeja, point well made. Well, Dele Farotimi, I hope you had him.
You know,
he has a completely different view.
No. I'm always very happy when these government apologists pop up. I take care of them online. When it's online, I just block them. But I'm very happy that he has brought it to the radio, and I'm happy to address the issues he has raised. In the first place, let's deal with substance. The gentleman says, I come on here to rant, and I have not done anything. I've written 2 books specifically on the subject of Nigeria. Not only have I written those books, I'm giving it away for free. It's not written to make money. It's written to bring light into a dark place. A place rendered dark by the likes of you who constantly make apologies for failure and lie on behalf of the system. I have never taken a dime from anybody for any speaking engagement I have been involved in. When I go to speak, I never take honorarium. I don't accept hotel bookings. I make my own flight arrangements. I have not taken a dime from anybody. I have never taken a government contract in my life. And I have never done anything with any, and I stand here and challenge anybody in government who has ever, nothing. I feed on God's grace entirely. If anything, my activism has cost me a lot. Not only have I lost clients, I have spent my own money. Not just that, I spend my money to promote what I am saying. I write books, I give out. So when people like you talk, you speak out of the abundance of your ignorance, and I'll prove it to you. When you say that Nigerians are unemployable, the problem you have is that you do not understand cause and effect. When you have not trained people to be employable, when the system has deliberately miseducated about 3 generations of Nigerians, where they go to school, somebody is in university, is still learning computer from from the blackboard in the university. It cannot function in the 21st century based on your educational system. You wouldn't send your children there, and you dare to call him unemployable. What did you train him to do? It is a systemic thing. So when the like of you come and you start making noise and making excuses on behalf of government, remember, there is always cause and effect. Let me say that in English. It is the child you refuse to train that will sell the house that you have built. Look at what happened in Kaduna. They are blowing trains and you are calling them vandals. And this person comes here and says, I'm lying. Well, I know there is a Buhari Media Council and they can't exist only on the internet. Some of them must come on TV. Some of them must come on radio. But me, I stand by my record. I'm not one of those purchased. I've never accepted a grant. I will never apply for one.
Well, okay. Your right of reply there, duly exercised. If you still want to be part of this conversation, you can call us on 0700-1051-1051. Is there a call out the line? Yes, please go ahead.
Good afternoon. I'm calling from Ikorodu in Lagos.
Okay. Emmanuel from Ikorodu.
Yeah, salute to distinguished fellows today. You honestly, I can't thank you enough for how you have elaborated and copiously delivered on the fact that this government has not just subjected Nigeria into untold pandemonium, into an untold penury and poverty, but you have also made sure that you decimated those their online messengers, which one has called. I submit you again. Let's make it abundantly clear that nobody stays on to power forever. The present government has done all they can to stop Nigerians, but that will never work. We will continue to express our protest in peaceful manner, and we will continue to press for a better and saner society. I see no reason why somebody from the south would be designated a terrorist for protesting, and somebody from the north who blow up a will be described in a very beautiful color that is just a bandit. That alone is enough to tell you that we have a failure as a president. Good afternoon.
Okay, Dele Farotimi, you heard that caller. Do you want to make a comment on what you said?
Yeah, just a clarification. I didn't hear too well, but there is a part I think I need to clarify because it's a continuing argument between myself and my friends and brothers in the left movement of Nigeria. I'm not saying people should not protest. Don't get me wrong. It is your right. I have never deprecated however anyone elects to engage with the system. It's up to you. You can't prescribe how a man should cry. I merely point out the fact that I am privileged to know that the entity to which you are protesting is deaf. So my position and yours are not diverged. The point is that I'm not prepared to go where you are going because I don't believe it works. I'm prepared to go beyond the point you are. But those who care to protest, bravo. It takes a lot of guts to look at the bullies in uniform, busy wearing intimidating arrays of canisters of tear gas to look like Transformer and Voltron. It's not easy to decide that you see that and you are still going out. I applaud them. I'm not deprecating it at all, but I'm explaining that we have to move beyond it. You are just shouting at the deaf. They can't hear. They are incapable of hearing.
Okay, well said. We'll just take one more call before we call it a day. Hello, thank you for joining us.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Please, I just want to mention about that man who just spoke with a couple of times. Man is this lawyer fighting for the masses, and that man was saying that this man is the radio and speaking now. What is that supposed to be?
Please, could you turn down the volume of your radio? We can barely hear you.
Okay, sir. Attorney.
Yeah, it's better.
Mr. Reuben,
yes.
What
please.
I'm saying is that man who spoke later that somebody comes to the radio and is speaking nonsense. What was that supposed to be when this man is fighting for the masses? And that man was being down. Is it because the government? That
Well, we lost that caller there. That was not clear enough. Is there? It looks like someone else is calling us. Hello? Hello?
Hello, sir.
Yes, good afternoon. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, please.
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. Thank you for joining us. Please go ahead.
Yeah. My name is Victor. I'm calling from Surulere.
Okay, Victor from Surulere.
Yeah, I've been enjoying the program this weekend. God bless you. And I thank God for the person you brought today to come and talk to us. But the most important thing, I just want to take up that thing and say that Nigerian youth are not employable. Hello?
Please go ahead. I can hear you.
He said that Nigerian youth are not employable. Saudi Arabia came to Nigeria and conduct interview and lift Nigerian doctors to Saudi Arabia. And Nigerian government sent DSS to go and chase away those people. Are they not Nigerians? How many Nigerian doctors have not been leaving Nigeria for abroad to go and practice medicine? Now he said Nigerian youth are not employable. Nigerian resident doctor here went for strike, and the president left Nigeria to go and take medical treatment abroad and other elites. And he's calling the radio to say Nigerians are not employable. The university has to went on strike, and he says Nigerians are not employable. The other day, how many students from primary to school to secondary university that bandits have not been adopted and stay inside bush? The child will grow up and come and have a country like this. And somebody is calling and saying that someone that is saying the truth is ranting on radio. I mean, some of our youth, we should be thinking that thank God that what we are suffering, nobody here has been before you go to the same market to buy what everybody is buying. We spend the same naira. And when somebody is just thinking that he's defending the government that is not working well, we should think very well. We should think very well. Should the people went there and protest for good governance and they died? I wish maybe his brother or his relative was among, so that he will be happy and clap hand for the government of the day. That's my submission, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Well, Dele, would you like to make a comment on that?
No, I would just like to say thanks to the gentleman for his kind words. The truth of the matter is that when you do what I do, you get all kind of monkeys on your back. But I'm very adept at dealing with fools. I've never been one to suffer fools gladly. The Kene who opened his gob to say nonsense, probably is not even his name. They're all kind of frustrated human, and he might genuinely believe the lies he just spouted. It's not impossible. So it's fine, but they help us to also clarify issues. If he hadn't been as silly as he was, I wouldn't have been offered the opportunity to explain to those who hear me shouting and see me around. I don't do this for money. I don't do this for money, but I was born to do this. And his masters or sympathizers, they can get as pissed off and angry as they care to be. I'll be here to write their obituaries.
Well, Dele, on that note, I think we should go. I don't want you to get angry on air. And I'd like to
I'm not angry.
just to thank you very much for taking time out to join us on today's edition of City Talks with Reuben Abati. And thank you also, all of you who participated in the conversation today, and those who called in, those who reach out to us via social media. But remember, the conversation does not end here. You can reach out to me on my social media account at Abati1990 on Instagram and also at City1051 on all social media platforms. For those of you who tuned in late, you don't need to worry. You can visit YouTube page City1051 to watch the entire show. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave comments. And don't forget also to tune in next week at noon for another exciting edition of City Talks. My name is Reuben Abati. The show was produced by Adedoja Allen, Abiodun Odunton, Ayodamola Oludara, Bello Akim, and Oluwaseun Adetitun. Have a great weekend. Thank you for listening.
City Talks with Reuben Abati.